This is the Sunshine Cathedral perspective. Trans military service members continue to suffer discrimination and insults. On May 7th, Queer News Tonight covered the story of the Supreme Court allowing the Trump administration to enforce its sweeping ban on transgender military service. The order expels all transgender service members regardless of their record or performance. It also stays a previous nationwide injunction in Commander Emily Schilling et al. Versus United States, allowing the policy to take effect even as legal challenges continue. Commander Emily Hawking Schilling, a decorated Navy aviator who has flown over 60 missions, is one of the plaintiffs. Civil rights groups argue the administration's actions are rooted in bigotry, not national security. In a joint statement, Lambda Legal and the Human Rights Campaign Foundation condemned the decision as a devastating blow that, I'm quoting, has nothing to do with military readiness and everything to do with prejudice, end quote. The Advocate posted on May 9th that Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth issued an ultimatum to transgender service members, advising them to voluntarily resign by June 6, 2025. Or face eventual involuntary termination. He made the deadline in Pride Month to add insult to injury.
Here at the Defense Department, we continue to relentlessly pursue the president's agenda, especially on readiness. He put out an executive order a week into his presidency, stating the prioritizing military excellence and readiness, that expressing a false gender identity divergent from an individual's sex cannot satisfy the rigorous standards necessary for military service. We agree, and so we implemented that policy. It was challenged in court, and of course, we appealed. And 2 days ago at the Supreme Court, our policy was upheld. And so we're going to continue to advance that policy here at the Defense Department. So, in accordance with policy now reinstated, service members who have a current diagnosis or history of or exhibit symptoms consistent with gender dysphoria may elect to separate voluntarily. There's a timeline here, and then eventually involuntarily if necessary. This is the president's agenda. This is what the American people voted for, and we're going to continue to relentlessly pursue it.
The secretary released the statement in a post to social media 2 days after he denigrated trans service members in a speech to Special Forces operators, saying, and I'm quoting him, "No more dudes in dresses. We're done with that. Expletive deleted." End quote. The Queer God Squad has a few thoughts on the matter. Well, I gotta tell you that I am absolutely with Lambda Legal and the HRC, saying that has nothing to do with military readiness and everything to do with bigotry. They're targeting people that are extremely vulnerable. These people have given their lives in defense of our country, and now our administration is pushing back, saying that they shouldn't be doing this. You know what? Expletive deleted.
Right, exactly. That someone who used 7 deferments to keep from serving his country has an agenda to get rid of people who are serving their country, risking life and limb to do so, is beyond hypocrisy and is beyond unacceptable. It is the reverse. I mean, DEI, diversity and equity and inclusion, that's a good thing. That is so that you don't exclude qualified people based on things like their gender identity or their sexual orientation or their religion or their physicality or their race or their ethnicity. That if someone has the qualifications, you have to look at them. You have to give them a chance. That's all DEI is. What this is the opposite of that. This is HOE, hegemony, oppression, and exclusion, and that is their agenda: hegemony, oppression, and exclusion. It's. Did you notice how he repeated the word relentlessly, and he said so passionately that we're relentlessly pursuing this anti-trans, this targeting of a group, and relentlessly pursuing getting rid of them. What does that sound like? Every oppressive authoritarian regime in the history of ever, that we're targeting them. And this just apoplectic, it makes me, false gender ID. He just said, that all of gender science is made up. He just said that biologists and endocrinologists and medical doctors and pediatricians and researchers and biologists are just all full of shit, and that he and his draft-dodging, adjudicated rapist, 34-time felon, twice impeached, 7-time draft-dodging, tax-denying boss are more qualified to decide what gender is. And if there are 17 genders, and each of those 17 genders, or if they can do their 1,000 push-ups and run their 16 miles and fire their weapon, what is the problem?
Yeah.
What is the issue in this administration that claimed that all of this ugliness is in the name of meritocracy? Well, then let the people who are showing merit, regardless of their gender identity or their sexual orientation or their religion or their lack of religion, or if they can do it, they can do it. And it doesn't matter what you think of gender science and gender roles and gender identity. Also, there are 30 now, 30 Fox, I can't even say news, because
entertainment,
Yeah.
because they were sued for lying to they're not news, they're entertainment. 30 now in the administration. He's one of them.
Yeah.
Hedgesmith, Hedgeworth, Hedgehog, whatever his name is. There are 30 Fox people. How can you take that seriously? That this Fox weekend anchor with his Nazi tattoos taking orders from the grandson of, actually from the son
yes.
of a Klansman.
Yes.
That they're going after, they're targeting people, vulnerable populations, denying their existence, calling it a false gender ID, and that they are relentlessly, do you hear these words? Do you hear it? These are bullies. These are liars. These are people who need to be resisted. And I know we're just a little table of people talking once a week, or actually every day. Once a week on Sundays, but throughout on this sort of thing, just a little group of people doing what we can. We need every little group of people doing everything they can, because these are serious times. And our trans brothers and sisters are willing to defend us.
Yeah.
We've got to defend them.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You know what, Bishop? Thanks to you, I now know what I'm going to be calling Secretary Hegseth from now on. Ho. Quite simply.
I wrote that down. I was gonna, okay, got
I
it.
think that we all picked up on that. There are just a couple of questions that I want to ask the Secretary Ho. Did you ever serve? No. And I don't think he served.
Wasn't he a reservist or something? Or
maybe so.
Maybe.
All right,
I don't
so
know.
maybe he served, but I know his daddy in the White House didn't serve. And what the hell is this?
Did not serve.
What the hell is this with this testosterone overload? What is it about anybody who identifies different from you that is so scary to you? Is that your boogeyman? Is that, we jokingly say a lot of times we think she doth protest too much. But there's that. And people of all genders have been serving in our military for a number of years. I don't think that there's anything that has happened negatively because of people who self-identify being in the military. But this is the same guy who was going around pulling out of history, out of military history that he can touch, names of female pilots from World War II, the names of females who fought in battles during World War II. He's pulling their names out of his history books.
Yep.
He's trying to erase, and you can't erase history. It's there, and once we get rid of this hoe, it'll be back there, and we'll be done with his lies, damn lies.
Ooh, where did I start? A lot of things going on. He says that this was the president's mandate. This is what he was elected to do. No, he wasn't.
No.
This is bigotry. And this is a campaign promise fulfilled to the evangelicals.
Yeah.
That's all there is. The president, I'm pretty sure, could care less one way or the other, like he does a lot of things. I am sure that if he came under fire and a military person was to defend him, he would not care.
Yep.
what that person was, other than they was doing their duty. And I just want to read this. This may sound familiar to a lot of those who's been around for a little bit, as a reminder of what it means for military people. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, and that I will obey the orders of the President of the United States and orders of the officers appointed over me. And it goes on to say some additional stuff. And those orders has to be legal and lawful orders, by the way. It's just not any order. It has to be legal and lawful orders. These are people who sign up to take the bullets for the Constitution and defend it. These are people who signed up and raised their right hand to protect and defend our way of democracy and our way of being. And these are people who really don't care about that. They don't care about any of that. They just want what they want, how they want it, and they don't care about what it does to the nation. And they don't care about what it does to our reputation on the global community. They have made this be open season on a lot of people that are being targeted for no reason at all, and they have turned people into targets of the same people who would defend them if they had to, still to this day. Mm-hmm. And that's what it means for the transgender community and the military. They are still willing to protect and defend this hoe.
Yay!
And that other one, with their bodies,
in front of a bullet,
to protect them, because that's what they signed up to do. They have more courage, they have more faithfulness to this country than the people who are leading it. And if you cannot be faithful and honoring this part of our community that serves proudly, then you don't deserve to be in the presidency of the United States.
Amen.
You don't deserve to be in any office that does not protect our military, or willing to honor our veterans, those who gave their lives.
Right.
If you can't respect that, you don't deserve my respect, and you do not deserve the respect to lead this nation. Explicitive.
Mm-hmm. That is from, by the way, something that the Secretary of Defense can't say, the President can't say, the Vice President can't say, the Secretary of Defense can't say, the Secretary of State. That's from someone who served a decade in active service in the military. So
you don't get my respect.